All right, this is Uncle Pete. It's Saturday night. Welcome back. If you're new here, please subscribe to the channel. Give me a like, share it, comment. Um, I want to preface what I'm going to talk about in this video. I found this video of this guy who's in his mid 60s, and apparently he's not able to retire completely. That he's been forced. It sounds to me like he's been had no choice but to go to work, and he's been working at Home Depot for the last 3.5 years. And I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea about it. The main purpose of my channel really is to educate and inform young people about long-term investing. I know I make day trading videos all the time, every day now, and I'm going to keep doing that because there's always constantly new people coming into the world of day trading or wanting to day trade. And I want to make these videos so that those people and anyone else sees what it's really like to be a day trader. But the main focus of my channel is to educate and inform young people to put them in a position of saving and investing money for their future. It's so important. It's so easy. It's so simple. I know people get confused and afraid and apprehensive, because there's so much information out there, and I'm just trying to make things easier for people. So, and I don't want anyone to get the wrong idea that I'm bashing this guy for whatever choices he made that has kind of forced him into taking a job in retirement. I still work at something, but I work at things that I want to do in retirement. And the only reason I can do that is because of what I did 35 years ago by starting a long term investing plan. There's a video on my channel called Who Were the Two Men Who Changed My Life? That really explains how I got into investing, right? And so I want to talk about this guy's video, and I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea. I'm not berating this guy for working in retirement. I work. I play guitar. I've been in bands, playing in bands. I do a number of other things to make money. As of today, it's May 24th, 2025. I don't make any money at making videos. Okay, I have 9 subscribers as of May 24th, 2025. So I'm not. This isn't how I make my money. I made my money in investing, and then as I mentioned in a previous video, I was laid off when I was 57 years old. My firm that I worked for a major broker dealer for 22 years. Before they laid me off, they didn't ask me, "Hey, are you okay? Your finances okay? We want to make sure you're okay before we kick you out the door." They didn't ask me that. They just said, "It's over. Here's your exit package, right? Get out." And I was 57 years old. That was October 2019, right before COVID. And I never went back to work because I decided. I mean, when I say work, I mean I never went back to a corporate job, to the career I was in. I'm done. It's over with. Prior to my 22 years for a Wall Street firm, I worked 20 years as a carpenter. I'm not going back to carpentry. I'm not going back to Wall Street. I'm done with all that. I'm officially retired, but I do some work. I just do at on my time when I want to, and things that I want to do. All right. And I think you'll see in this video, it seems to me, and you can put in the comments whether you think I'm right or not, but this guy seems to me not to have any choice. And it struck me as kind of perplexing because it sounded like he was in corporate America. I think he was a teacher. It's very vague the way he goes in, talks about his career and how what led him to working at Home Depot, and then he talks about his friends that he knew who were high up in corporations, a CEO and a C, and they just can't. He says they can't retire either. So there's something very strange going on with this guy. But what to me, there's a big difference between having to work at Home Depot or anywhere else and wanting to. There's no problem with someone who's retired from their main career and now wants to go work somewhere. I want to go work somewhere. I like to do things and keep busy, all right? But there's a difference between having to do it and wanting to do it. And so I really want to get into this guy's video and comment as we go along. So let's hear what he has to say.
Okay, I've said it. My name is Phil. I'm 66 years old. I'm retired and I'm working at Home Depot. I've come to understand and accept and observe that this hasn't been a step down. It's not been a step backward. All of my teaching friends continue to work because they can't maintain a lifestyle they're used to having on their retirement. Corporate execs, I have a couple good friends that did through the corporate, got into high levels of management, CE, whatever, O's, P's, I's levels. And because they're worried about their money running out, they're going back to work. And it's interesting because their choices for work are usually the jobs that are low stress.
Here, I've showed this in other videos. This is an S&P 500 returns calculator. What you put in this calculator is an initial investment. You have to put something, even if you put, let's say, $100, right? And you know what I say. I say for a long-term investment plan, you need to put away 15% of your money, right? So let's take something like $50,000 times 15% of your money is $7,500 a year divided by 12 months. That's $625 a month. $625 a month invested, let's say 35 years. So if you're 25 years old, in 35 years you'll be 60. Initial investment, now this is going back of what the S&P 500 has done the previous 35 years from 1990 to 2025, right? There's no guarantee it's going to do that again for the next 35 years for you as it has done for me, but what if it does better, right? Who knows? Might do worse, might do better. But what you're investing in is the stock market, the total market, 500 of the best public companies, right? So $100 initial investment invested for 35 years, 15% of a $50,000 a year salary is $625. And in 35 years, approximately $2.2 million. Now, do you think at age 60, with this amount of money, just in your one account, a long-term investment plan, that you're going to have some choices? The difference between having to work at Home Depot and wanting to work there, that's really what you want, isn't it? Okay, so let's continue with his video.
You know, at this point, this path allows me.
I want to just say what happened to him and his teacher friends and his corporate executive friends. What happened? Where they couldn't have done this. They couldn't have done this. Invested in a long-term plan like this, or maybe something happened to them. But it sounds to me like he's talking about all of them. Not all of them could have had a tragic event, a health care event in their lives that wiped out their savings. I'm getting the feeling that he just didn't plan like this. And that's the whole point of my channel, is to show you that this is possible to plan and to get returns like this and to have some choices when you're older.
On my retirement plan, continue to work on my retirement plan. And
And so he's working on his retirement plan now that he's working at Home Depot. He's 66 years old. So to me, that just means that his retirement plan is not, he's not going to be able to touch his retirement plan that he's put together now at 66 until he's 86. What the hell is he going to do at 86? Let's continue.
it's an example of making the best of the way things have turned out. I just have this feeling that's how I felt when I realized I wasn't going to be able to quit work. Or I work at Home Depot at 60 plus years of age, 66 to be exact. I started here, this Home Depot, 3.5 years ago. It's been a positive experience. I'm going to talk about that today and maybe give you some a story that might help you if you're looking for something to go, a company to work for. These types of companies are, I think, viable options.
Okay, I'm glad it's working out for him, but it still seems to me, from what he's saying, that he had to do this. He didn't have any choice. And that's what I'm trying to get all of you, who's ever listening out there, to avoid being in a situation in your 60s where you have no choices. But I'm still glad that he's happy here. And he's going to talk more about the things, the positive things, about working in his retirement years.
Let me be clear. This wasn't.
And I don't want to make it sound like I have this, you know that that American fantasy about retiring early and just lying on the beach the rest of your life. That's ridiculous. That's just ridiculous. And I remember Jerry Seinfeld, when he was done with his his show Seinfeld, that he went back on the road as a stand-up comedian. And I think he was taking questions from an audience, and one guy asked him, like, "What are you doing here?" And the premise of this guy's question was, why you have all this money that you're getting from your show Seinfeld, all these royalties and residuals and whatever. What are you doing here in stand up? You could just be. So the guy in the audience has this vision of himself just lying on the beach every day. And and Seinfeld said to him, I think, what do you expect me to do? Just lie on the beach somewhere? He's doing what he loves. Stand up comedy is what he loves. So it makes sense for him to get back on the road. He has the money. He has choices now. And that's his choice, is to go back on the road and hit the comedy clubs. And but I mean, obviously he's playing bigger rooms than just a comedy club.
The plan. It was never the plan that I would work 20 some years, 30 years in my profession, whether it be teaching, and then I was going to go to work for Home Depot, collect Social Security, and go to work for Home Depot. Not the plan. Let me talk a little bit about the positives of having a part-time or full-time job in retirement. And I even think.
All right, before we get to the positives, he's saying it was not the plan. This is not how he envisioned his life to go, and yet here he is. And he's very vague about. He doesn't really give any reasons why he ended up here. Maybe it was a bad divorce and he lost a lot of his money. Maybe he's got a couple kids that got into trouble and that wiped him out. Maybe a lawsuit, legal troubles, health event. But I really wish he would give it. He would have given more answers to the glaring questions out there of, dude, how did you end up like this? Even though you're enjoying what you're doing, and we're going to get to he's going to start talking about the positives of working at Home Depot and working in as 66 years old. But he's not talking about any of the reasons why. And I think the reasons why is he doesn't have the money not to work there. And that's what I'm trying to get all of you to avoid, to start putting small amounts away. Think about it. I mean, 15% of your, do 10. Do 10. Do what you can. Get started. And as your income grows over the years, start adding more. You know, if your income goes up 10,000, add another percent. So do 11% a year. But get started. And I have a whole 7 video series that shows you exactly what to do, how to do it. Okay? So let's go to the positives.
And I've met a few people that even have thought about doing this and are doing it, and they have a retirement fund. They don't have to work, but they're choosing to work. But why would you do it? Well, number one is the social interactions.
Well, there you go. Now he's talking about choices, and they don't have to do it, but they want to do it. And that's a great feeling to be older and you, all right, I left my main career for life, and now I don't have to do that anymore, but I want to do something. I want to go do other things, and that's a great feeling to have, to be able to do that. And unfortunately, this guy here can't do that, which is pretty sad.
Couple months that I didn't work, social interaction became a minimum, and it that as much as anything can affect you, not so much physically, although the sitting around isn't good, but mentally, emotionally. Lacking that social interaction is not healthy. So I mentioned about being around younger people. Once you hit your 45 to 50.
And by the way, a lot of these edits are his. They're not mine. Have edited his video because I wanted to cut it down and get to the main points. And I agree with him that about social interaction and everything. But what if what if the social interaction wasn't so good at a job? If he had a nice retirement plan, he could quit that job and go find another job where people are more to his liking. But let's continue with some more.
Years old, from that time on in my working career, I was always being managed by 20 and 30-year-olds. So I was used to it, of being around younger people. As a teacher of primarily eighth graders, high schoolers, you're around younger people. And there is a saying that says, being around youthful people keeps you younger. And I agree with that. But it's been fun to see how they respond to me as a boomer. Most of it's positive, but my favorite comment was being told, Phil, I just want you to know you're my favorite old person here. And she knows who she is. But I took that as a compliment, and it made me feel good. It goes without saying, getting a job where you're on your feet all day, you're moving around, is good for you. It was definitely good for me. And, I was averaging 1,000 to 2,000 steps a day prior to working at Home Depot. Now I'm averaging on a slow day 6,000, 7,000 steps, upwards of 9,000 steps. They say that, it's got to be good for me, better for sure than in the past. But, between the moving and the lifting and the walking around and the mental stimulation of dealing with people one after the other and your coworkers, again, this is a more active lifestyle and a definite positive about working in retirement and working again for a company such as this.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with everything he's saying here about the mental stimulation, the exercise, and the social interaction. Those are all positives and definitely things that as humans, we need. But all I'm saying is to get to the point in your later years where you have a choice of where and how long and where you want to work, how many hours you want to work. You don't want to be in a situation where you're in dire straits, and it's so avoidable. It's so avoidable. I mean, you can get this. I'll link to this investment calendar in the description, and I also want to show. Let me see if I could bring this down. Yeah, this chart is a chart of the S&P 500 over the last, what do we got here? I take this all the way out to from 1994 to now 2025. I know people are scared about investing in the market, but because of all the scary days when the market loses a lot of value. Like right here was 9/11. You had this big downturn. Then you had the war in Afghanistan and Iraq, another downturn. Then you had the subprime mortgage mess. But you see in 9/11 and war, the market comes back. And then we have another crisis, the market goes down, and you have all these scary headlines, and people get scared out of the market, and people swear they'll never put their money in the stock market, and then the market moves up again. And then you have more corrections. There's always corrections, and then here the big one here is COVID, right? And then this downturn here, and then we have the talks of tariffs and stuff. So the question here I ask is, what do you need to see to get you to understand the power of investing in the stock market and not selling when the market tanks? This is the S&P 500 over the last 32 years, from 1994 on the left here, way down here, 42.81 was the low, all the way to where are we now? We're at 579, right? And if you reinvest the dividends and dollar cost average and put your money in the account, I mean, hell, I know a lot of kids coming out of college, they're starting off at $75,000, right? 15% of that is $11,250 divided by 12. It's $937 a month. Over 35 years, you're looking at $3.3 million. Hell, let's just put $250. Over 35 years, that's almost $890,000. You have some choices when you have money like this. And that's the whole point of my channel. All right. So let's continue with Phil.
It's great to have something to do, to follow a schedule. So that's overall a positive thing. The big negative to that is you don't control your time. You're still being told when to show up, when you can leave, when you can break, take a break when you eat.
And let me tell you, when you're young, someone telling you where to go, what time, and how long, it may not be such a big deal. But after you've been working for 30 years and you're in your 60s, and now you got some 28-year-old telling you where to go and where you got to be, I mean, it is what it is. They might be your manager or supervisor. You got to listen to them, but you don't want that kind of thing. You don't want to hear people telling you what to do and where to go and how long to be there. You just don't want it. So I'm hoping that I'm getting you to start thinking about what kind of life scenario do you want when you turn 60? Do you want to have to work somewhere, or do you want to work somewhere? I prefer to want to work somewhere. Or maybe take a day off, and I now want to work somewhere. Um, I'm trying to help you have choices.
So those kinds of things are still, that causes sometimes to become what would be the word introspective and could be a little down. It'd be a downer, depressing that here you are later in life in those retirement years and you're working. You nothing. Oh, there's been changes. You may be doing something entirely different, but it's still the same. You're not in control of your time. So if you've reached retirement like I have, and there's a sense of failure, a sense of you've dropped the ball some way. I think
Yeah, I think we're getting to it here. He has a sense of failure, and that's a shame. And then he dropped the ball. So I'm getting the feeling that he just didn't invest his money, and that's unfortunate because now it's pretty much too late for him. And as you get older, you get into your late 60s, like this guy is moving into. The body starts. You just can't do stuff anymore. You can't do physical jobs. Now, he doesn't have a physical job at Home Depot. He's working behind a counter. They didn't want to put him in building materials or, he he originally thought he was going to go in that and he was expecting that, but they didn't. They keep that for the younger people. But yeah, you just don't want to be, your body just doesn't want to do stuff like that.
what helps me to realize is there is this idea of the stereotype of what retirement really is. Um, there isn't.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I don't like the stereotype of retirement. Like I said, um, I, I keep busy, I keep working, but I'm working at what I want to do. And I want that for all of you when you reach your 60s, that you have the choice of what you want to do. And forget the stereotype of, oh, I'm retired, I'm just going to lie on the beach. You're not going to want to do that. I know plenty of people who just, they're retired and they're not. I know a guy who's got a whole workshop in his available to him. He created this whole workshop. He's busy every freaking day. So really get rid of that stereotype of just lying around on a sailboat somewhere. And yeah, that's nice to do that for a couple weeks or whatever, but you're going to get bored with that. You're going to get bored with it.
A perfect retirement. There isn't any one way that every one person is going to fit into because we've all had these different diverse paths.
And the other good thing about having choices is when you're older, or what if you're the type of person who wants to volunteer their time to help other people out? How are you going to do that if you don't have any money? You can't help people. Yeah, you can volunteer your time, but if you're having trouble paying your bills, which this guy obviously is, how are you going to where are you going to get the time away from making money on a job to pay your bills, to go and volunteer somewhere? It's going to be very difficult, and it's a noble thing to do, but it's much easier on you, and you can volunteer more of your time, and you can give more of your money to charitable organizations that you like if you actually have money.
To older age, it's going to look individualistic. It's going to look different for every person. And it does.
Yeah, so that's it for Phil. So I feel sorry for Phil. He doesn't seem to he doesn't seem to really want to do this job. And I don't blame him. I wouldn't want to do it. I'd want to do something else. Working in retail is not very appealing to me, dealing with customers all day long who are, having issues. Um, I feel sorry for this guy, but it seems to me he just didn't prepare for the future. I don't see any indication from him that some major financial event ruined his retirement. I think he just failed at it. So I'm gonna put a link in the description to this calculator. You know, um, use it. See how I really hope you get excited about these numbers down here based on how much you contribute. If you don't know what to do, go watch my 7 video series on investing in the stock market. All right. Um, I hope you all got a lot out of this video today, and please subscribe to the channel. Give me a like. Put your comments in there. Let me know what you think about Phil, or what you think about my comments on Phil's video, and share it to someone who you think is going to benefit from it. All right, this is Uncle Pete. Have a good night. I'll see you Monday.